Hey guys, so my birthday was a few days ago, and Bree and I decided to head up to one of my favorite spots, the Philadelphia Zoo. This has been one of my favorite places since I was a kid. It's not a huge zoo, but it's actually the oldest zoo in the country, and they have some really cool stuff here, and I always have a good time. They've got big cats like this tiger, cute little penguins, and even red pandas. But my favorite thing about this zoo is their reptile house. I've always been amazed at the enclosures they have here, and they always had an amazing venomous reptile display. Unfortunately, they don't have any venomous animals anymore. That's a completely different story. But they still had some really cool enclosures in here, and actually some really neat animals on display. So I'm going to show you a few of them. Let's check it out. So this enclosure used to belong to the venomous cottonmouth, but they actually have a snake that shares the same habitat with the cottonmouth in the southern mid-Atlantic region. This is the northern water snake. I find these all the time in the wild. This one was hiding pretty good in the enclosure, but if you look through those leaves right there, you can see his head, and he's coiled up right there. And then in this next enclosure, there's no box turtle in there, but that's actually a banded water snake. They exist from North Carolina down to Florida, out towards the Midwest a little bit, but they would also be sharing habitat with the cottonmouth. And then right here they had a spotted turtle, which I thought was awesome. We found a ton of those in Virginia when we went herping down there. This enclosure wasn't labeled, but we were pretty sure this was a northern pine snake just because that's what it looks like, and the habitat looks like it would support that. So this was really neat. This thing was digging around pretty good, and it looked like there were multiple ones in there. And an eastern rat snake coiled up inside that log. So from here we started to get into more exotic species like these tree frogs here. These were really neat. They reminded me of White's tree frogs from Australia. Very popular captive species. And then no display would be complete without an emerald tree boa. These guys are beautiful. I think the longest teeth of any snake. And then this was neat. They had a Madagascar tree boa in this enclosure. I've never really seen them before in captivity, so that was neat. Really neat enclosure, lots of room for it. And then the enclosure next to it, they had the Madagascar ground boa, which I'm pretty sure is the same as the Dumeral's boa. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. This leaf-tailed gecko was pretty neat. It took me a minute to find it, and then of course it was right on the glass. Hate when that happens. I'm not sure where these guys are from. I'm sure it said it on the sign. This thing was really cool looking. I had never seen this in captivity before, but it was neat how perfectly he was displayed. And then another emerald tree boa. I think they're just filling up a lot of the empty space where they used to have venomous snakes. This was pretty cool. They had cohabiting here the Hosmer skinks and the shingleback skinks. These things were pretty wild looking. I believe both of these species are from Australia. There's that big boy, and then there was another one back there. Yeah, that's definitely a shingleback. And then there was this rock monitor here that we had no clue what he was doing, just hanging out. And then this thing was absolutely wild looking because I thought there was something wrong with it, but that's just its tail. It just has that spiky shield on there. And then the Gila monster. So I guess I was wrong when I said they didn't have any venomous anymore because these guys technically are venomous. Pueblan milk snake, very common pet. Still beautiful though. So this enclosure wasn't marked, but it's some type of iguana or water dragon. Either way, it was absolutely awesome looking. And then this very popular captive species because they got that crocodilian look, but very small in size. Always love a dwarf caiman. But they can mess you up though, don't fool yourself. And then a Florida common snapping turtle. I'm not sure how different they are than our common snapping turtles up north. Any type of water monitor is cool. I just love monitors in general, so anywhere that's got really cool enclosures like this, I'm all over it. It'd be my dream to have something like this in captivity, but I'd need a lot of money in order to give it the proper setup. I was hoping he'd move around more, but it's his time. And they had these really cool newts over here that were swimming around. I always call it the reptile house, but it is the reptile and amphibian house. Couldn't get too good of a view of this guy. He's kind of hidden in the back right there. You can see a little bit of his spots. And then I doubled back to this black tree monitor enclosure because I couldn't find him the first time, but he was hiding all the way up there. Sneaky devil. So you know we're getting towards the end of the reptile house when we're seeing the big stuff. Always cool to see two giant green anacondas. Even though these guys look big, they've got a lot of growing to do. And then the largest snake on the planet, the reticulated python. Not too good of a view, but he was coiled up all the way in the back right there. And then the stars of the show, the Galapagos tortoise, largest tortoise on the planet. Or at least tied with the Aldabra tortoise, but these guys are huge and a Philadelphia favorite. They have an outside enclosure for them, but they can't be out there in December. And then finished up with these West African dwarf crocodiles. They were pretty cool looking. But yeah, that's it for the reptile house. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I definitely recommend visiting it if you're in the Philadelphia area. It's really family friendly and you can spend a few hours there. But thanks for watching.